What's up YouTube, Dale here from Zephyr Wargames, and today I'm going to bring you the test hand combo video for the Blue Eyes Chaos Max build that I showed you guys the other day. So what we're going to do with this is we're going to do 2 test hands going second as the deck is designed to do, and then we'll do 1 going first in case you do get caught off guard and get blind go first, and in doing so you'll be able to see that it's not just a one-trick pony and what you can do with it can count. So with all of that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell and subscribe to show your appreciation for this type of content. And if you enjoy it, let us know in the comments down below and I'll be more than happy to do more for you. So after a very decent shuffle and a good old cut, we'll do an opening hand of 6 being 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so that's a very good hand. Even before the Lava Golem, obviously if we're going first, still a very decent hand. Going second, we're able to break a bit more of the opponent's board as well. So what we're going to do here is you're going to Lava Golem your opponent. Now I've already kind of shown in the profile video how Nadir 7 can help get you, especially when we've got Melody. We've got more ways of getting to Chaos Max. So we're going to be able to complete an OTK this turn by giving our opponent a Lava Golem and not even needing to worry about a normal summon. So what you're going to want to do here, I'm not going to worry about going into the extra deck too much, to be honest. So I'm just going to activate Nadir Servant straight away. And this is going to allow me to get Herald of the Art Light from the extra deck to the graveyard and search myself out a very, very cool, wherever she may be, White Relic Dogmatica. I'm then going to resolve the Herald of the Art Light, searching out, not Advanced Ritual Art, sorry, Dogmatic Calamity, which is, there we go, right there. And then what we're going to do here is we're going to activate the Dogmatic Calamity. We're going to be summoning down the White Relic. And in doing so, we're going to send another Herald of the Art Light from our extra deck to the graveyard. This will then allow us to resolve Herald of the Art Light's effect, which will allow us to search out either the Ritual Monster or the Ritual Spell. And because we've got very easy access to the monster, we're going to search out a Ritual Spell. Then what you want to do here is you want to activate the Melody of Awakening Dragon, and I'm probably going to ditch the Jet Dragon. Yes, it's kind of cool that you can get this to the board if you want to, but one thing that can really, really help is if a card or cards on the field is destroyed by battle or card effect, you get a special on this card from the graveyard. So this will then give you the ability to kind of push further forward as well. So you're going to activate the Melody just to get the most advantage off of this, send in the Jet Dragon, and then of course you're going to search out a Blue Eyes White Dragon and a Blue Eyes Chaos Max. Then at this point, it's entirely up to you. You can absorb the attack of Lava Golem. It doesn't make much of a difference. But what you will do here is you'll then be able to reveal Alternative and Blue Eyes, summon down the Alternative, activate the Advanced Ritual Art. This will allow you to send a Blue Eyes from deck to the graveyard. There we go. Go into the Chaos Max. And it's entirely up to you. Now, activating the Relic will bump it up to a 3500 base. You could activate Alternative if you want to get rid of the Lava Golem to mean that Chaos Max can go direct for 4k. But you're probably going to be wasting it a little bit. The only reason you do that is you can then use Sage Advisor Blue to turn Alternative into a Blue Eyes. And in doing so, that will also allow you to bring back the Jet Dragon as well because you'll destroy a card on the field. But you're going to be able to do that either way. So activate Alternative, let's get rid of Lava Golem. If your opponent's got more monsters, then of course Chaos Max is going to be doing more damage. And then what you want to do is you'll be able to trigger the Jet Dragon effect in the graveyard because a card on the field is destroyed by battle or card effect very easily. You get to bring back Jet. And then you can use Sage Advisor Blue to tag out the Blue Eyes Alternative and go into a Blue Eyes White Dragon. Now, obviously, none of your cards are locked from attacking or anything like that, but you do get the ability to go very, very nice. Thank you very much. 6, 10k, and then this is going to be 35. So you've definitely guaranteed the game off the back of that as well. It's obviously a lot easier if you do get to something like Lava Golem because then you don't need to worry about what your opponent is putting on the board. But it does take up your normal summon. So that's your sacrifice that you are making, which honestly, in a build like this, I don't think it's that big of an issue to really deal with. So what we'll do now is we'll shuffle up, we'll go second again, and again we'll try and highlight the OTK capabilities of the deck. It's not always a 100% certainty that you're going to be able to complete the OTK, but you still want to be able to put your opponent in a position where they can't come back from it should you complete that a huge amount of damage. So after another decent shuffle and a good old cut, our test hand going second will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Very interesting yet again. It's a little bit lackluster in the sense we don't have easy access to get to Chaos Max. So we're not going to be able to complete an OTK, but we do have the ability of Book of Eclipse, and we do have the ability of Dictator of D in order to pretty much set up a couple of our plays. Keep in mind as well, you can also send the White Stone, but you also do have the ability to normal summon the White Stone and link it off. So you've got a couple of different routes you want to go to. It really is up to you. So we'll start off with the Dictator of D. So you get to send a Blue Eyes White Dragon specifically from the hand or deck to the graveyard. Now, obviously, if your opponent has monsters on the board, you Book of Eclipse them to make sure they're not going to cause you an issue, and then you're able to push through them that way. So you send the Blue Eyes to the graveyard, then you get to special summon down the Dictator of D. You can then send, discard a Blue Eyes White Dragon or a card that mentions it in its text, which of course so does the White Stone of Legend because it allows you to add back Blue Eyes. And then you get to target a Blue Eyes monster in your graveyard and special summon it. So what you're doing here is you'll go, okay, discard this, bring back Blue Eyes. Then you get to use the effect of the White Stone because it was sent to the graveyard to add a Blue Eyes White Dragon from your deck to the hand. Now it's a shame again that that's a little bit of an old text because otherwise you would love to have just added any Blue Eyes White Dragon you want, but that is entirely up to you. Now, as you can see here, the issue is we haven't really got the missing piece. So you can still activate Nadir Servant. If your opponent's got a monster from the extra deck, that is one option for you as well. You can normal summon your Dictator of D and link off. The idea is that you're trying to get Ecclesia to the board, but there are still ways to do it, depending on what your opponent has on the board themselves. You could have also normal summoned the White Stone of Legend and linked that off, and that would guarantee you to have a monster special from the extra deck. And then the card you would have to discard of the Dictator, you would need another Blue Eyes target. So going through it like this one, let's have a look, see what we've got options for. So you can link off if we want to. We're just then going to leave it at the board because we've got a bit of presence. We're going to activate Nadir Servant. We're going to send. Now you can send Natis if you want to. That will pop one card your opponent controls. It won't give you the maximum amount of advantage, but it will get you, you can either go for a Garura to get you a draw, or of course you can go for Natis to get you a little bit more extension. So if we get rid of Natis, this will then very easily allow us to pop one card our opponent controls, so we'll just use this to signify that they've lost one card in a sense. This will allow us to resolve to search us out a Ecclesia. Now obviously keep in mind as well, if your opponent does not have a monster specialed from the extra deck, then you're not going to be able to special summon down Ecclesia. So that is when you're probably going to save back the Dictator, because keep in mind as well, if this card is normal or special, you still get her effect. So if they haven't got a monster from the extra deck, you don't put down Dictator of D. If they do, then you go a little bit further. So you get to special summon down Ecclesia. Ecclesia's effect will go off. Now it's up to you. You can get very aggressive and you can go with Maximus. And Maximus is only going to be used if you're not going to guarantee to push for game. Or you can go a little bit less all out and you'd go for Fleur. And again, because you special with Ecclesia, they'll have a monster from the extra deck. You special summon down Fleur. Fleur will go up to 3k, 2k, 12, 12, 3k. So that's when you're going to be trying to push for game that way. We'll go through the Maximus route because then he'll show you how you've got some fallback as well. So you special summon down Maximus by banishing the Natis from the graveyard. This is then going to allow you to use Maximus's effect. Now again, like I've said before, keep in mind, if your opponent is going to be utilising cards from their extra deck and they will get benefits from sending cards from the extra deck, then you don't do it this way. However, if you're going to be a little bit more risque, then you can do it. Pop another card with Natis, and you can send Garura if you want to get a random draw. Or, of course, you could send Herald of the Arc Light to give you a ritual follow-up for the next turn. It's entirely up to you. You could also go for App Clone, and in doing so, this will then, I would probably advise sending Garura for a draw and App Clone for the search, and this will set you up the ability to go into window during your opponent's turn. So it really depends on if you're going to push for an OTK or if you're going to push for a defensive play. So let's say we push for the OTK, we get to draw off of the Garura, we then get to pop with the Natis, which gets rid of 2 cards. Draw a Melody is quite nice actually, not that we've got anywhere to put any of the monsters, but this is kind of how you're ending your board here. So very aggressive, you've got 3k there, 6k there, 7-2, 8-4. So that's your OTK. If your opponent has 2 monsters in your way, you've popped them, you've got rid of them. You still have the ability to set the punishment and set the Eclipse, so that during your opponent's turn again, though you've got rid of both Natis's, you then still have the ability to kind of send any of your stronger monsters. You can send a Herald if they put a weak monster on the board, or of course you can send a Rafflesia to set you up for a fusion spell for the next turn. So like I said, it's entirely up to you. You can see that you've got a lot of options, which is really, really nice. That's kind of what you want to look for. Even without the Chaos Max ability to OTK, we still had the ability to either Book of Moon everything and then build up a very defensive board. And if we did decide to do that, that's when you'd definitely be going for the window play and kind of move it from there. Okay, so now we're going to go first. So after a very decent shuffle and a cut, the idea behind going first with a deck like this is you're going to be siding out most of the go second cards and you're going to be putting in more floodgates. So like, let's say if you're going to time or something along those lines. But the idea is you want to try and utilize the Dogmatica package at max as where you can possibly get away with it and go from there. So with a hand like this, you do have the ability to get a monster from the extra deck onto the board. That's probably where you're going to want Link Karibo in the extra deck, but you also get the ability for Ecclesia, which gives you punishment. What you're trying to dig for now is like Nadir Servant off of the back of a trade-in with a Jet Dragon, and the Jet Dragon does give you that ability to kind of summon itself back as well. There we go, Nadir Servant is exactly what you're looking for. So what you want to do here is you can then activate Nadir Servant. Because we opened up the Advanced Ritual Art, we do have the ability for Chaos Max, but personally I'd probably rather save this. I don't think there's any real desire to rush to it. So by activating the Nadir Servant, what I'm probably going to get rid of, personally, can be... I'll go for the full defense. I'll show you the App Cologne route as well. There we go. We've got that, and that. I probably, actually, what would be a little bit smart before I do activate Nadir Servant, because I'm not going to need a normal summon this turn, we're going to normal summon the White Stone, we're going to turn this. This should probably be Link Karibo, but obviously because it's designed to go second, it's going to be Relinquish Anima. You'll trigger the White Stone. This is going to allow you to get you a Blue Eyes from the deck, which means you've pretty much deck finned one card, so if you do decide to go for a Garura draw, you have that ability as well. You're then going to activate Nadir Servant. This is going to send App Cologne, and this will then search you out pretty much any Dogmatica monster you want. Now, I'm going to go directly for Maximus because I'm going to try and go for the Winterlock play backed up by a Book of Eclipse. You then resolve the App Cologne. App Cologne is going to allow you to add the Schism. Now, it's entirely up to you if you want to discard the Schism now to save you discarding one of your other cards. It depends on what you have access to. I'm going to discard the Schism because I'm going to be able to get it back quite easily. We'll then special summon down Ecclesia. Ecclesia's effect will then go off. And again, depending on how you want to play this, you either go for Punishment or you go for Fleur. So we're going to go for Punishment in this one here. You then use the ability of Maximus to banish one monster from the extra deck, which of course will be from the graveyard, which will be your App Cologne. This will then give you the ability to use Maximus' effect to send 2 from your extra deck to the graveyard, and this is where you're going to use your Construct as your Shadow monster, and then you want to make sure the other card you send is a Dark monster. So that can either be the Chimera Flesia as a backup for the next turn, or it can be the Garura for a nice little draw. So we'll do it for the Garura. I'm just going to shuffle up just so I can get that additional draw. Draw one card. There we go. And then we're going to utilise the effect of Construct to add a Shadow card back from the graveyard to the hand, which is going to be your Schism. Now, obviously, keep in mind as well, if you didn't want to send the Garura, because you've got the Dark in the form of Relinquish Anima on the board, you could actually send the Chimera Flesia. You can still send the Chimera Flesia instead, but the issue is because we've got the Punishment, we're probably going to lock ourselves out of our extra deck, and we're not going to be able to complete an OTK play. Another option, instead of sending the Chimera Flesia, is also sending the Herald of the Art Light. You'd still get the exact same thing, but rather than Dogmatic Calamity, you'd confirm your Chaos Max for the next turn, because you'd use Herald of the Art Light to search you out a Chaos Max, and your end board would pretty much be exactly the same. You just have a stronger follow-up, which is probably what you want to be looking for a little bit more than not. So this is your end in hand at this moment in time. So what you're going to do here is you're going to want to set your Punishment, you're going to want to set your Schism, and then you can probably set your Book of Eclipse, holding back Advanced Ritual Art, Blue Eyes, and Chaos Max themselves. Then obviously by passing to your opponent's turn, the idea is that you're going to want to Book of Eclipse them first, and hopefully that stops them. Unless they put like 5 monsters on the board, and you're like, I really don't want you to draw 5 cards, then you actually hold this back. And the way you're going to control your opponent is very simply. You're going to be able to start off by activating Punishment if you want to, or you can activate Schism. It really depends on what you're fearing. Whether you're fearing a way of negating the Winder, or whether you're fearing a way for them to just spawn the board. So let's say we're fearing that they're going to spawn the board. So you activate Schism, you banish your Construct, which is your Shadow monster, and then you banish your Anima from the extra monster zone in order to summon out your Winder. Now keep in mind, if they're playing a Dark monster or a Dark deck, you do actually get to send that with the back of Schism, which is really, really nice. So this is how it currently is. Let's say the monster they normal summon can be Honest dropped or anything else. You then have the ability to use Punishment. You don't really care about locking yourself out of the extra deck. You send the Tis, you pop 2 cards. So right now you've sent a card and you've popped 2 cards. So you've cleared off 3 cards your opponent controls. This is then going to come back to you. Now you can't go into your extra deck. You don't really care. So you draw one random card for turn. If you want to, so let's say this card has the ability to special summon multiple monsters, you can, in theory, actually Book of Eclipse your own board, flipping everything face down, and then you can flip all your monsters face up, and Winder is no longer locked by not being able to attack because of the Schism. Now, obviously, you wouldn't flip everything face up until you've activated the Melody of Awakening Dragon first, because the whole idea of Book of Eclipsing the board and your own stuff is to get another monster on the board, which would be searching out a Blue Eyes or another Chaos Max, entirely up to you, or you could search out a Jet Dragon, which you already have. So we'll go with, actually, Levianeer, and we'll go with, actually no, we still need the Blue Eyes. Whoops. It probably needs to be Blue Eyes then, let's have a look. Jet Dragon, if something is destroyed, so we could have brought back Jet Dragon the previous turn, doesn't make much of a difference. So let's go with, I suppose Levianeer is more aggressive. Depending on how many cards you want to pop. So you've got the ability of like all the lights in the graveyard. So I'm just trying to remember exactly what all lights are, especially on a monster from your graveyard in defense. Yeah, I mean, that's doable. That gives me a rank 8 play if I want to do it that way. So Levianeer will give you a rank 8 play. Otherwise, if you choose to search out, let's just keep it simple. You choose to search out Alternative and Blue Eyes. You then reveal Blue Eyes to summon down Alternative. And then, of course, you're going to activate your Advanced Ritual Art, sending the final Blue Eyes from your deck to the graveyard to allow you to summon out your Chaos Max. So you've completed 2 special summons. You then flip up your Winder, you then flip up your Maximus, and then you then flip up your Ecclesia. You can then, of course, use Maximus's effect again, and the only reason you'd do this is you'd probably send a Chimera Ecclesia or the Garura for an additional draw. So let's say we send Garura, and we'll send... actually, let's go Garura and Natish. You probably want to send Herald of the Arclight, because then at least you're going to guarantee you're going to get you can get another monster to the board. But Natish would pop another card, and then you get a random draw off the back of that, which can be, you know, Lava Golem, fine. Either way, if your opponent's not got anything in defense, this is still game. If your opponent does have something in defense, then you can do the double battle damage there. And you kind of see how you've kind of controlled your opponent's board. The issue was that the way we controlled our opponent's board was through the Dogmaticas, which is what you're going to need to rely on more so in this particular build. But then that's where you change it up. And like I said, that's where your side deck comes into play. You're going to be looking at cards for your side deck stuff more control-wise. Some of the floodgates aren't the greatest in this because obviously you play lights and darks, so you can't really utilize Gozun. You play different types of monsters, spellcasters and dragons, so you can't really utilize Rivalry, but you can instigate stuff like anti-spell fragrance if that's going to be useful against your opponent, that if you're up against Runics, even if you're up against Kashtiras as well. The deck does have some very nice versatility and some very nice variations. So it is entirely up to you on how you want to play it and how you see it out going out. But I thought this video would be helpful for you to kind of show you what the deck can do on the face of it. But for now, as absolutely always, guys, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. Any questions, comments down below, more than happy to answer them. For now, as absolutely always, stay safe and, of course, happy dueling.